Hello, loves. Hello, hello. It's Hills here from the Blue Flame Apothecary. It's time for the Aquarius new moon. I don't know why I said that with such foreboding. This moon is so different. We have been going through this period of internal workings. And over the last week and a half or so, we've had these like subtle shifts into emergence, into waking up. Mars first spinning forward again last week, then Mercury on the 18th spun forward and is going forward motion now. They both are at exactly 8 degrees of the sign that they're sitting in, and this is important, so take note. The day, not even a day, less than 24 hours after this new moon, which is also a supermoon, peaks, we have Uranus pulling all of the planets now forward. And Uranus is the planet of earthquakes, it's coming in shock and awe, which I have some personal triggeriness with regard to that statement, but it's like, let's go. It's time to wake up. There's no more hitting snooze. The alarm clock is going to blow up on your nightstand to force you to get up. And to hammer this home that much more, Kali is exactly conjunct Uranus at the moment of forward motion. Actually, Kali is currently exactly conjunct Uranus. So that's funny, actually. Since last night, I've noticed that I have this like fieriness, this feistiness going on in my system. I'm like, oh, when something's like just even the minorest sense of annoyance, and I'm just like, oh no, we can't have that. Oh no. And then I have to like recalibrate my system and be like, oh wait, why did that annoy me so much? And what is it trying to tell me? Let's start to dive in to the frequencies of this Aquarius new moon, this supermoon. So what does it mean to have a supermoon during the new moon? We can't see it. It doesn't visibly look bigger to us like a full moon. When it's a full supermoon, we're like, oh wow. I'm seeing Tom Hanks during the Lost at Sea scene in Joe versus the Volcano. I forgot how big it is. I was just called to watch that movie again recently. It's so silly and so good-natured and also so profound. Sometimes it does take a death or thinking that you're about to die to really start living, right? So a super new moon takes that same energy of it's so big, but it brings it into the subtle realms. And also because the moon is going into a perfect conjunction with the sun, it's taking that bigness, it's taking that large S into the place where our unconscious and our consciousness meet, helping us to connect to that space at a deeper level, and that way bring forth, as we reemerge, we can have a deeper connection to how we're creating from our unconscious patterns. this super new moon is also exactly conjunct to Mary Magdalene's asteroid. And we've talked, if you've been following along, if you've been listening for a while, we've talked quite a bit about Mary Magdalene here on this channel, her asteroid, as well as Medusa's, who's also very strong during this new moon. They feel like kind of the template holders for this current era that we're emerging into, which is no longer letting someone else tell your story for you. It is instead connecting to the truth of who you are and saying, no, this is my story. This is who I am. And I am that I am. That's sort of like, I can now see fully the divine that is me, and through that I can see the divine that is you, sort of energy. They're all at the first degree of Aquarius. And so it's heightening that Aquarian energy. Now, Aquarius is a really interesting sign. Aquarius is the water bearer. And we have this energy with Aquarius. It's an air sign, so it's very mentally. It's very like, ooh, what's going on? What's going on? I don't know about any of you, but holy cow, has my mental realm been alight. We have two air, one air grand trine and another air trine happening right now that are really powerful. So if you're feeling like you're all up here, luckily there's also an earth grand trine to help us connect in with the embodied part of us. Let me feel for a minute. There's all that chattery energy going on, and it's like, oh, go over here, go over here, go over here. I just published the cosmic light drops yesterday for this new moon, and it's pretty funny because I can feel it in there. I was like, oh, this one feels a little different, and it's like everyone wanted to have their voices heard, which is kind of the template for this new era that we're emerging into, right? Is, okay, let's hear what you have to say. Let's see what you're showing us. And every single one of them was saying, I am, and here's my story. And who are you? Oh, is that your story? Amazing. Let me hold space for that. Oh. So Mary Magdalene, let's bring her back in. Let's feel that essence of Mary Magdalene. And as we do, let's connect again to the word Mary, the name Mary, and to what that name actually means, which is priestess. In days gone by, Mary was the name, the moniker, the title given to a female priestess, a female high priest, someone who was in priestess training, someone who was part of a temple. This is why there's so many Marys in the Bible, because Jesus liked to surround himself with high priestesses because he was part of that school also. And that's a whole nother story involving the temple of Isis and the essence and all of that, and Egypt. But as we start to remember the truth about who Mary Magdalene is, as she is coming into a place of reclaiming her story, we can see the power of connecting to the truth of who you are. And this is bringing me back again to where I was before, of Aquarian energy. You see, Aquarius, like I was saying, is an air sign, so it's very up here. even when I do it, like all of a sudden I start getting all scattered, and that's what happened before, right? Me being put on blast. But the archetype of Aquarius is the water bearer. So it's connecting you also in with your emotional realm. The water that she pours out from heaven is the Spirit of God. It's spiritual food for us. So one of the ways that it connects for me often is it's a reminder that we are clearing. Water is purifying. It helps you connect with your emotions so that you can let them go. You know, like letting the water wash away your tears, or let your tears wash away your grief sort of energy. And one of the things that the water that she dumps out, she pours from her pitcher, is doing is connecting to the past and removing the sting from it, kind of clearing out the wounds of the past. And when you can get that aspect, the emotional aspect, cleared out, then you can see how you've been locked in a loop of cyclical thinking based on an old deep wound, and you can start to release that as well. And that's what transcendence means. That's what transcendence means. To connect from a higher level to the patterns, the projections, and the ways that you have been running your life from your deep wounds, and those wounds that you didn't even know existed because they came from a past life or down your ancestral line, 3 generations. And once connected, you can start to release them. And Chariot, who we talked about, I definitely talked about her in the last update, the cosmic light drops. I don't know if I talked about her in the energy update. She was conjunct to Venus during the Cancer full moon. Venus has now moved on and is actually in a really amazing throuple with Saturn and Medusa. More on that later. But Chariot has moved into that 8th degree of Aquarius. And remember I said the 8 was important. So we have Mars at 8 degrees of Gemini. And we have Mercury at 8 degrees of Capricorn. And this is an angle that's called inconjunct because they don't seem to relate to one another. They are not able to connect. But there's all of these ways that once we take a higher view, rise up like that eagle's perch, that hawk's vantage point, raven, whatever high flying bird you want to use, or your beingness, rising up, which is also the name of the, Rise Up is the name of the song for this moon. Do you see how chattery it is? Once we rise up, we start to see the bigger picture, the broader strokes, and then we can start to see how they're actually connected. First, they're connected through that number 8. The number 8 signifies infinity, infinite metamorphosis. It also is the symbol of quantum entanglement, which I feel like is going to be something that we're hearing more and more and more and more and more and more about over the coming years. The deeper truths are going to be revealed about this as Pluto starts to shift into Aquarius. And at that meeting point in the center, we find that the connection between 2 seemingly disparate things is occurring. This happens also because we have Chariot at 8 degrees of Aquarius, which means that Chariot is making an exact trine to Mars. Now, Mercury is also the planetary ruler of Gemini, so there's another connection also. And Chariot is bringing her healing medicine, helping us connect to new ways to heal, regenerative medicines, ways to work and allow light to rise up from within us, to come and cascade down from the heavens, to rise up from the earth, to clear toxins from our being and from the earth, as we start to remember that our exhale is the food for the trees, as their exhale is the food for us. See? Everything's connected. Speaking of everything's connected, over in Libra, our other air sign, we have Osiris, the remembered king, the partner of Isis, who was dismembered, and then Isis, using her ability of creative potential, her connection to the ability to create, was able to help him become remembered. And he is conjunct in Libra to Ceres. Ceres is also known as Demeter. Ceres is Persephone's mother. Ceres is the goddess of the harvest, of reaping what you sow and of planting new seeds. So we can see that we're in a cycle within a cycle within a cycle. We plant seeds that they may sprout, that we may remember ourselves further and connect more deeply. Libra's about our connections to ourselves, and therefore be able to connect outside of ourselves at a deeper level. Neither of them are at 8. Osiris is at 7 and Ceres is at 6. However, it's very, very close and tight air grand trine. As we feel into this air grand trine, into the energy of Mars now moving forward in Gemini, into the energy of Osiris conjunct Ceres in Libra, bringing balance to our beings, to Chariot over in Aquarius, to Mercury in Capricorn, helping us ground and connect the way that we think, our voice, what we communicate to the structures around us. Can we, let's take a moment with that to bring our kind of very chattery mental realms down and center them down further into our beings. Center them down into our beings a little bit more. Allowing yourself to release anything that is not needed anymore. Allow yourself to release anything that's not needed anymore. As we do this, I am feeling called to highlight Aquarian energy again. We started to talk about her. We started to talk about this water bearer, this connection to our emotions, to our heart space, and to our head space. There is a ton of Aquarian energy right now. I spoke already. We have this super moon and the sun making this new moon conjunction with Magdalena at the 1st degree. Then we have Chariot in that grand air trine at the 8th degree. And then we move a little further on and we have Medusa Another reclaiming your story energy, empowerment. Conjunct Venus, conjunct Saturn. And these guys are all making a trine to Horus, Isis and Osiris's offspring, or the unification of them. The unification of them. Can we see how much work is being done during this new moon to help bring us through, to help us transcend? Aquarian energy is very, very, very linked to Uranus. It's about new technologies, new ways of thinking and being in the world. Sometimes it can feel a little rigid and cold, like AI. But if we allow ourselves to remember that she is also the water bearer, that she's also connected to our heart space, we can bring in the new from that space. The way that it feels is connect to the depths of your being, to the truth of who I am, and feel that the truth of who I am is in your root, it's in your navel, sacral center, it's in your heart, it's in your solar plexus. It's all part of this embodied existence. And it is part of your stellar gateway and your soul star and your higher dimensional beingness. And we are literally coming into alignment, into an equalization of the embodied beingness and the multi-dimensional, the higher, the divine, the lightness of our being. And I have this word that I absolutely adore called, it's equalization. And what equalization actually means is to come into, to bring into a state of balance at a new, higher frequency. So as we go through our journey, our spiraling, this infinite metamorphosis of transformation into a higher degree of knowingness of who we are, each moment we come into a higher sense of being, and then we bring our entire embodied existence up to that point. We allow for integration, for balance, and then we do it again. I can feel how many different beings, how much of the alignments of this astrology want to be like, hey, but don't forget about me, don't forget about me. Yet at the same time, part of what is being asked of us as Uranus pulls us all into forward movement. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. Is for us to come out into the truth of who we are. And we can find stories around us all over the place to help us remember ourselves, because that's part of the way that we do this. We tell each other stories to remind ourselves who we are and what we are and where we've been and where we're going. But right now, in this moment, as I close this energy update, I do so with it's time now for you to emerge. If you've not already emerged from that cocoon, allow yourself to start to peel back your protective sheath, to come into a state of exploration, to find and look and feel and see and hear and open your heart to all of the new that you're experiencing from this new state of being. Start to sit there and examine who you are and how that is going to express in the outer world. How we've done all this work now. We have gone into the depths of our being and explored. And it's not to say that we're done with that now. We don't ever have to go back there. No, but we get a moment of, okay, from this state of being that I am now in, how do I exist in the world? How can I serve? How can I allow myself to receive? How can I give? And where am I called to shine my light? Tomorrow is the Aquarius new moon. In the members portal, I'll be holding our new moon transmission and activation. I invite you to come check out the members portal, and if it calls to you to join, it would be amazing to share that space with you. I share a lot more about the astrology in the Cosmic Light Drops, and there's a link below. So check that out and subscribe to receive it dropped straight into your inbox also, if that's what calls to you. And definitely, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe and hit the like button. Leave me a comment. I would love to hear how you are emerging from your cocoon, how you are hatching, and what you feel is calling to you. As for myself, I am on a brief hiatus from one-on-ones. That got my throat chakra. The Oracle card transmissions have shifted out, and over the next couple of weeks, 3 weeks maybe, I don't know, I should have some really amazing and exciting news to share with you all about what one-on-ones are actually going to look like going forward, at least for as long as that is also true. As we journey this journey of infinite metamorphosis, this journey of transformation, and as we all rise up together, it is such an honor and such a joy and such a gift to share this space and time with you in all ways and through all the dimensions. Thank you, thank you, thank you.